Hello, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. It is still smoky, so we're not going to go too crazy, or at least I'm not. You go as crazy as you want to with your yoga. Go back to previous workouts if you want, yoga classes if you want, if you need a slightly more difficult thing. Otherwise, we'll get more of a stretch, a little bit of work, a bit more of a stretch today. If you have a strap, that's going to be a really useful thing to use today. You could get a long belt or some string. If you don't have a strap, you could use a dowel or like a broomstick instead. So whatever will work for you, it's going to be a useful tool today. Getting into the chest and shoulders and also the hips, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so let's start lying down. And you can take your time to settle onto the mat. Maybe you have your knees bent with your feet a little bit wider than your hips so that your knees can just hang in toward each other. Maybe you have your legs outstretched, whatever feels better on your low back this morning. You might take a little wrap of the shoulders, or the shoulder blades rather, onto the back, just to lift up through the chest a bit more. Palms facing up can also help open through those tight chest and shoulder muscles. And for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh, and breath away. A couple more. Continue breathing however feels best for you, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. If it feels really open and spacious, then acknowledge that. If it's feeling a little bit tight or sticky today, then ever so slightly try to lengthen through the breath, making it last even 1 more second, that's all. And this can help smooth out the breath a little bit more, can help open up the tight parts. Last breath here. And then bring a little wiggle, little shake, some deeper breaths back into the body. Oh, maybe a full body morning stretch. And then draw your knees into your chest. Let's rock from side to side. You might draw circles with the knees, or the legs rather, in the hip sockets. Your legs might go the same direction as each other. They might go the opposite direction. And if you're doing circles, make sure that you go both directions. And then reach your legs up to the sky. So your knees can be bent, right? They can be deeply bent. But you want to try and just have some buoyancy here. You might point and flex through the ankles or the feet. You could reach your arms up to the sky as well. Allow the shoulder blades to drape all the way back so you're not actively sort of reaching away, right? There's buoyancy, there's ease in the whole body. Maybe actually you start shaking everything out. It can feel kind of good. Also a little bit awkward, but you know, same with life. The last couple breaths here. All right, hug your knees back into your chest. And if you have a strap, go ahead and grab your strap. And you're going to bring it to the balls of your feet. So when I say the balls of the feet, I mean, I can show you in the camera, right? This part of the foot, rather than in the arch of the foot, because you're just going to get a deeper stretch this way. It's not that it's dangerous or anything like that. Again, knees can be deeply bent here, but what we're trying to look for is feet parallel with the ceiling, or even possibly the toes pulled back toward you a little bit more. So it's as if you're standing on the ceiling. Now the legs maybe are touching, maybe they're hip width apart. It doesn't matter, whatever feels good for you. If you don't have a strap, you could just hold on to the backs of your thighs or the calves. And then start to peel the toes back toward your face a little bit more. I like walking my hands up the strap so that I don't have to bend my elbows. I can just use the weight of my arms to get a little bit of a deeper stretch here. So last couple breaths here. If you would like to, maybe you start to round through your spine, lifting the tailbone up as well as the back. And then exhale, lower back down. Okay, keep the right foot in the strap. Bring your left foot to the floor. And then, so now just working into the right leg a little bit more. If you would like to deepen this, you might extend the left leg along the floor. Right? That can dramatically increase the stretch on the back of that right leg. Again, your knee can be deeply bent, right? It does not need to be straight. You're still getting a stretch with the knee bent. Couple more breaths here. Okay, and then bring both straps into your right hand. Take your left arm out to the side, and this will be for counterbalance. As you exhale, bring your right leg over to the right. Again, your knee can be bent. If you don't have a strap, you can hold the back of your leg or even your ankle. If your right elbow happens to reach the earth, then you can start to think of pulling that foot closer to your shoulder. Another way that you could counterbalance is with the knee bent, foot on the floor, and then allow the knee to hang out to the side. And then you kind of get a little bit of groin on both sides at the same time. So wherever you need to go. Last breath here. And as you inhale, bring the leg all the way back to center. Switch the grip now. So both straps come into the left hand, right arm goes out to the side, or even think of taking your right thumb and bring it into the right hip crease. And then really use your thumb to wrap that hip forward and down to the floor. And you want to keep it there as you bring the right leg across the body. So the hip will lift slightly, but you want to try and root it back down. So you can't really tell from your angle, but my right leg has only crossed my body by about 5 or 10 degrees from the center line. Right? And I'm getting lots of tension on the outer right thigh. Again, the knee can be bent. My IT bands are quite tight from the activities I've been doing over the summer. Maybe you're a little bit further over, but again, you want your bum, your hip to be on the floor, so it's not a twist through the spine. Last breath here. Okay, inhale, come back to center. Last couple breaths. Maybe you draw the foot a little bit closer toward you. Some of you, I know, will want to curl up toward the shin. Whatever you need to do. And then slowly, gently release the foot from the strap. Hug both knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. Okay, bring the right foot to the floor and then bring the strap or the belt, whatever you're using, to the balls of the left foot. Reach it up to the sky. And again, go easy on yourself to start with. Maybe you bend the knees a little bit more deeply. Maybe you don't walk your hands up so far. You know, some people like looping the strap so that you don't even have to use any grip strength here. And then start to flex your ankle so that the foot becomes at least parallel with the ceiling, if not slightly more toward your face. Right? Because then you're getting into the calf muscles as well as the hamstrings. That's all. You're just getting, more bang for your buck. Again, you might stay here, or you might extend that right leg along the floor, keeping it quite active. Last breath here. Okay, bring both straps into your left hand. Right arm can go out to the side for counterbalance. And then bring your leg out to the left. And again, if your elbow comfortably reaches the floor, you can start to use your bicep strength to haul your leg up closer to your shoulder if you wish. Knee can be bent, knee can be straight. Right knee can be bent with the knee winging out to the side if you wish. Wherever you need to go. A few more breaths here. Right? Never stretching to pain, only to tension or slight discomfort. Last breath. And then inhale, bring the strap or your leg back to center. Bring both straps into your right hands. Take your left thumb and hook it into that left hip crease as a reminder to sort of drop that hip down and push the femur forward to the top edge of your mat. And then maybe you bring the leg across the center line of the body. Again, you can probably tell a little bit better on this side. I'm not going super far across. My foot is maybe just beyond my right shoulder in terms of how far across it is, my body. Keep pushing that right or that left hip down and toward the front edge of your mat. Knee can be bent or straight, it doesn't matter. Just feeling the tension on the outer thigh here, right? The muscles that attach to the IT band. Last breath. And then inhale back to center. Last couple breaths in the middle. Maybe you walk both hands a little bit further up. Really getting quite deep into the hamstrings today, if you didn't notice that already. I'm not sure why I do those weird voices. Yoga's about self-reflection, I guess. Last breath here. Okay, and then very gently release. Bend both knees. Touch the strap off to the side for the moment. A little rock from side to side. Or shake out whatever you need. And then make your way to hands and knees. So that could be rocking and rolling up and down your spine first. It could just press yourself to one side and then roll. However you want to transition, make your way into a nice tabletop position. Toes can be tucked or untucked. Hands really quite wide, right? Outer shoulder width apart or wider. Little draw of belly button to spine. And then inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, round through your spine. Really press it up to the sky. And then inhale to drop the belly, opening through the chest. Exhale to tuck the tailbone under. So a few more of these cat and cow undulations on your own time, on your own breath. Moving however you need to. So it could be a little wiggle of the tail from side to side. It could be big barrel rolls through the chest, shoulders. You might send your hips back toward your heels even more. Last few breaths here. And then gently come back to center. Bring your right hand in front of your left hand on the mat. There might be space between them, depending on how long your arms are to your torso. And then start to send your hips back. So the idea is that you're getting a big stretch to the right side of the body. You could tuck the tailbone under and get it more into the low back as well. And then inhale, slowly come back up. Hands and knees, a little wiggle, release any tension. And then left hand comes in front of your right hand. Send your hips back. Tuck the tailbone under slightly. And then inhale, slowly come back to center. Reset your spine and your pelvis, tuck your toes. Exhale, lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. You could pedal the heels if you wish to. You could wag your tail from side to side. And then notice where your weight is in your hands. Try to send it more into the fingertips and less in the heels of the hands. And then bend your knees, look forward. Take as many steps as you need to come to the top edge of your mat and just standing forward fold. You could clasp opposite elbows with hands. You could rest your hands on your knees or thighs. Sometimes it feels really nice to bring the floor up to you and to rest the hands on blocks. Wherever you need to go for a few breaths, right? Really sort of feeling that extra length that we've brought to the hamstrings. And then gently release your hands with fingertips to your shins or blocks or the earth. Inhale, a little partway lift. Lengthen through the spine, belly button to spine. Exhale, let it all go. Oh, 2 more on your own time, on your own breath. And then bend your knees, head heavy, arms heavy. Slowly start to roll up to standing. 1 vertebra at a time, slow as you need to go. If there's any little wiggle or tightness that you need to get through along the way, then go ahead. And eventually come all the way up to standing. Maybe a little loop of your shoulders, up, back, and down. Or a little noodle, shake out, whatever you need to do. All right, so go ahead and grab your strap if you have it, or your dowel or stick, or whatever it is you're using. Feet hip width apart, little draw of belly button to spine, and then inhale the strap up overhead. Now make sure your hands are quite wide, because as you exhale, we're going to start to bring the strap behind. Now pause here. Right, we tend to dump into our low backs here, just because it's easier. So bend your knees, squeeze the bum, knit your lower ribs to the top of the pelvis, and maybe you start to lower the strap all the way back down to your back. Here, you're welcome to let go and bring the strap forward, back in front of you, or maybe you start to bring the strap all the way back overhead and forward. So a little bit of shoulder flossing, really lovely way to open up through the muscles and the other connective tissue of the shoulder joint. If you feel like that's too hard, or at any point your elbows bend or it just kind of feels gnarly, then take your hands wider, right? The more width you have, the easier this will be on the shoulders. Alternatively, if you didn't really feel much of anything at all, then go ahead and take your hands narrower. And you can always just pause here and go forward. Or you can go all the way back if you wish, if it feels okay, right? Again, no pain, and maintain tension on the strap the whole time. Last breath here. And then release. Shake it all out. Okay, take your strap, or take your hands a little bit narrower on your strap. So say outer shoulder width apart, maybe like your downward facing dog width. And then inhale, the arms overhead. Lift tall. As you exhale, send your hips to the right, reach over to the left. Now pull down with that left arm as much as you resist with the top arm. So you probably feel that quite a bit into that right armpit. I've got a little bit of shoulder impingement here, so I'm not going to go as hard as I normally would. You might come in and out of it a little bit. You could widen the grip if you want. That feels better for me anyway. And then tuck the tailbone under, round through the spine. Inhale, lift the heart up, really getting into that top armpit. And then gently come back to center, shake it out. Whew. That's pretty intense work, right? There's so much going on in the armpit, right? Lymph nodes as well as muscle connections. So, our poor armpits, we put pit stick on and then try to hide them from the world. So it's nice to get into them. Inhale back up. Exhale, hips to the left, reaching to the right. Again, pull down with the right arm, resist with the top arm. Keep breathing. You might come in and out of it a little bit. Maybe you tuck the tailbone under and around through the spine a little bit more, pulling to the top right corner. Or maybe you start to lift up to the sky. And then inhale all the way back up. Shake it out. Whew. Okay, let's do just a touch more activation. Feet hip width apart. And then take your hands a little bit narrower. So shoulder width, let's say. And then inhale, send into chair pose. So hips down and back, tailbone under, just till you feel the belly button engage toward your spine. You don't want your torso up here, right? We're not sitting on a bar stool. You're sitting on a chair. You want to look down. You want to be able to see to all 10 toes, maybe even de-weight them. And then inhale, the arms in front of you. Tension on the strap. And then let's lift it up and down and up and down. Couple more. Last breath. And then inhale all the way up. Whew. Shake it out a little bit. Switch the strap to behind your back. Palms facing forward or back, whatever feels better on your shoulders. Facing forward, you're going to get more opening through the shoulder. So for most of us, it's going to be a better position. Bend your knees, belly button to spine, and then slowly come into a forward fold. All right, from here, wrap your shoulders toward each other, elbows high, and then you might inhale, start to lift the strap up away from your low back. So tension on the strap. Maybe you reach it up to the sky, depending on your shoulders. Maybe it starts to reach to the front edge of your mat. Don't let the shoulders dip though. Keep wrapping them onto the back. And you might choose to go narrower or wider. You could sway here a little bit from side to side. And then gently bring the strap back to your low back. Belly button to spine. Inhale. Come all the way up to standing again. Whew. Little wiggle, little shake. Whew. Have your strap handy, so you can just loop it around your neck if you wish, and then come to the top edge of your mat. Inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, melt into forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your right leg back, not super far, but for a triangle pose. So line up your heels, hug the legs toward each other, a little buoyancy in the knees, and then inhale, come on up. So your stance is shorter than it would be for Warrior 2, certainly at least for today. Becomes a really strong base of support. Hug the legs toward each other without locking out the knees. Shift your hips back and then reach the upper body forward. Here is where you might take the strap in your arms quite wide. And that same action of pulling down and resisting. So hovering triangle if you wish. Otherwise, fold a little bit more deeply. One hand to the calf or a block or whatever feels good for you. So last few breaths here. Both sides of the body long. And then inhale all the way back up. Release the strap to your neck. Little wiggle, little shake. And then step to the top edge of the mat. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step the left leg back. Again, as if for triangle pose, heel to heel alignment. Both knees bent to come up. There we go. And then start to hug the legs toward each other. Probably should have done this side first so I can face you, but whatever. Start to shift your hips back. Little scoop of this front hip back and under is going to give you a touch more space. And then again, if you wish, take the hands nice and wide on the strap. Pull down with the bottom arm, resist with the top arm. Both sides of the body long, hovering triangle, or a normal triangle pose. Normal. If you wish. Last couple breaths. Inhale all the way back up. Ditch the strap completely. A little bend in the knees. Step to the top edge of the mat. Little wiggle. Little shake. Whew. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees. Step back. Hands and knees. Little wiggle. Little shake. Just see how your shoulders, your chest feel now. And then make your way onto your back. You might tuck the tailbone under and do a little Pilates roll down. Maybe have your forearms on the floor to gently lower yourself down. And once you're down, hug your knees into your chest. Take a little rock from side to side. Okay, bring both feet to the floor and gently cross your right ankle over top of the left thigh. This might be enough for you. If you'd like to deepen the stretch on that outer right hip, you could bring a block underneath that left foot, or maybe you start to, using your core strength, draw your legs toward you. You could rock a little bit from side to side. This gives you a little bit more freedom to explore different angles on the pose, or maybe you interlace your hands behind the left thigh. Again, you could be still or move around a little bit less freedom here because you're bound. You could press the right thigh away from you gently and try to take the tension out of the neck and shoulders. So again, mostly just using the length of your arms as a strap. Now, sometimes I know that this does not feel comfortable, right? Depending on the shape of our bodies. So a strap behind that left thigh or over top of the left shin is a really excellent option, right? Particularly if interlacing the hands behind the thigh is not going to happen today. You have the strap, so you might as well use it. Last breath here. And then gently unwind, shake it out. And then again, both feet to the floor. Let's just do it step by step. Left ankle crosses over top of the right thigh. Maybe this is enough for you. Maybe you bring a block under that right foot. And maybe you start to draw the legs toward you. You can just use the strength of your core here. You move around a little bit. Or you could interlace your hands behind the right thigh, or right away go for a strap behind the right thigh or over top of the right shin. Some people like holding onto the shin. That deepens it even more. Last few sweet breaths here. Right? Zero tension through the neck and shoulders. And then slowly, gently unwind, shake it out. The last pose before your rest is yours. So you might take a quick twist from side to side. Maybe you do a bridge pose just to reset the pelvis. Some of you might prefer a happy baby. So last couple breaths wherever you need to be. And then start thinking about where you would like to go for your rest. It could be flat on your back, legs bent or straight. You could rest on your side or in a seated meditation. You could be in child's pose. Right? It doesn't need to be a symmetrical pose. It just needs to be easy. So once you've found your pose of rest for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Your breath away. Couple more. And then let go of all breath control. Any last muscle gripping or tension, particularly in your face or your jaw. With each exhale, let your body melt a little bit deeper into the earth. Stay here longer if you can, 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.